one. It'll be there, and bam! Ladies and gentlemen, NFL Week 9, 2 hours, a little less than 2 hours away, and thank you for tuning into NFL Pregame Sunday. Right here, it's the Play Extra Podcast crew, me and Colton. Colton, hello.
What is up, Will?
Well, that's not proper English. Colton and I should say that correctly. So, your Steelers, low on the top of the mountain, the only undefeated team going into this week as they play the Dallas Cowboys. A lot of good games on tap for today on Sunday. Let's look at some of this news right now. So the Las Vegas Raiders have recently got their COVID penalty, and it was a bit more harsh than the Titans penalty, since the Titans never had to give up a draft pick. They gave up a 6th-round pick and a lot of cash over a lot of instances with signings that they had with no masks going on, and really Trent Brown kind of diagnosing that entire Raiders offensive line with COVID, having the quarantine. I want to hear your thoughts on that, if, they kind of got really the short end of the stick here compared to the Titans penalty.
Like we've talked about, when the Titans had their whole situation go on, they had a bunch of loopholes. The NFL tightened those loopholes up, and clearly there's still teams breaking the protocol. And instead of teams messing around here, the NFL is getting serious, taking away draft picks, as you mentioned. It's going to get serious. Steelers got fined as well. I don't believe that was a fair fine, because I believe Mike Tomlin's one of the guys that actually follows rules as far as with his mask, but it is what it is. The NFL's going to get serious. I've heard questions, around sports talk and stuff with, Jets being as bad as the Jets are, these players not going to follow the protocols. Well, you're going to see it's going to affect these players. If they start messing around, it's going to affect their organization. So I get some of these players might not be long-term with the Jets, but Jets might have to hand out, not just the Jets, other these lower teams, if players start messing around, they might start having to hand out penalties themselves. So I think the league's making a statement so they don't have any other problems going forward, and teams better take it seriously. It's pretty much what they're going for here. Raiders got the message now. John Gruden better be wearing that mask. He's been very laissez-faire with it. So
a lot of COVID stuff going on. Matthew Stafford expected to play after having the quarantine from Monday, so he's expected to start against the Minnesota Vikings. Baker Mayfield, within the last hour, is on the COVID reserve list. Browns are on the bye week. That's a situation to watch heading into next week as they play the Philadelphia Eagles. But to go back on the Raiders thing, I feel like it's a little more harsh because they never had to cancel games, have to move bye weeks and all that. They basically only had to flip one game from the Sunday night game where it was supposed to be with the Bucks. They had to move it to 4 o'clock, which I don't see any issue with that, but, they've had so many issues within the last, month and a half with masks, all these photos coming out, and they're not really kind of following any protocols. So, you get what you wish for, essentially. That's basically all you could go down with that. Let's look at another headline. J.J. Watt farewell tour. This week he mentioned that he's not wanting to rebuild. He wants to go to a team for a championship ring. So this might be his farewell tour for the Houston Texans. What kind of places do you think he might go to that just make logical sense?
Well, a team that needs a rusher, Seattle. Seattle's a very, team that sticks out a sore thumb to me here. But Seattle is going to be, I think, a little tight with money next season. I'd love to see JJ with Derek and TJ in Pittsburgh. Steelers will also be tight with money, so I don't see that happening. I think it's going to come down to a team where JJ's going to have to take a cut. He's going to have to restructure his deal or something where a team can take his contract on, or Houston takes on a little bit of his contract in the trade, whatever it may be. Because not a lot of teams that are championship teams can afford J.J. Watt's contract. So that's what it's going to come down to, because Kansas City sure as heck ain't going to get him. All these teams that are competitive right now aren't going to be able to afford a guy like J.J. Watt. So that's kind of the heads up there. But Seattle, needs some rushers. So same thing with Tennessee. So some of those teams stick out, but I don't see them, especially Tennessee. They're not trading with the Texans.
No.
So, but, NFC-wise, I don't think the Texans want to deal with them in the AFC to feel that punishment. Probably send them in the NFC, if anything. But we'll see. Like I said, it comes down to money. So will he take a pay cut? Will they restructure his deal? Will the Texans eat a lot of his money? That's what it comes down to for me with J.J. Watt, where he ends up.
Seattle does make logical sense, even though they just traded for Carlos Dunlap. But I feel like they would have to end up cutting him. They have to do something with that contract because no one's going to be taking $16 million a year for a pass rusher that's aging kind of rapidly, injury prone. So this is a situation, keep an eye on. If he does, in fact, stay in Houston, I know he was one of the people that the Texans mentioned they were not going to be trading for. So, again, a situation to watch down in Houston. Earlier this morning, Pete Carroll signed his multi-year contract extension, tying him to Seattle through the 2025 season, which should effectively be his last contract in the NFL. He's going to be just retiring a Seattle Seahawk, bringing them their first Super Bowl back in 2013, and a fast-paced start this year, especially the success of Russell Wilson, letting Russell Wilson cook, sling the ball down the field. And, hey, they might be one of the teams in contention for the Super Bowl, especially in the NFC, with a tightly contested race, with the NFC West to be exact. The Rams and the Cardinals really heating up there. Tampa Bay over on the other side of the country. So maybe Pete Carroll and co. can bring home another Super Bowl for the 12th man. Let's look into some NFL star power. So this is a pretty big week for injuries, so we're seeing Dez Bryant return to the field for the first time since New Year's Eve 2017, where he played his last game for the Dallas Cowboys. He signed with the Saints in 2018, ended up tearing his Achilles 2 days into training, but now the Ravens are expected to make him active on the active roster today against the Baltimore Ravens. Antonio Brown makes his first start since week 2 of the 2019 season with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers as they host the New Orleans Saints. In that same game, Michael Thomas, your boy that you've been preaching week after week after week, he's making his big debut, big return, not a debut, for the New Orleans Saints, kind of getting that offense kind of back up into speed. Christian McCaffrey makes his big awaited return with, they're going to be doing a backfield with Mike Davis and Christian McCaffrey. And now Jamal Adams returns for the first time since week 3 with a groin injury. He will be active against the Buffalo Bills today. Who are you excited to see today with everything going on right now?
Well, for fantasy purposes, it's got to be Michael Thomas. Same time, though, got to look at this one a little bit with a grain of salt here. Week 1, the game he did play, he got hurt at the very end, so don't give me the numbers with that because he got hurt. He didn't play good against Tampa, so he's got him again in his return here this week. That's the guy I'm looking at fantasy purposes for me. But overall, I'm looking to see how Antonio Brown looks. That's kind of pretty much what it comes down to here. How does Antonio Brown fit into this crazy offense in Tampa? Steer guy, kind of weird to see him in other uniforms. Thought it'd be a steal for life, but yeah. I think Antonio Brown's another one to watch here. I think this could be a really, really scary offense. If it isn't already with Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. I think Mike Evans probably gets lost in the shuffle here. That's something to kind of look forward to. You got Mike Evans, you better watch out because his stock might drop.
It's very exciting to see Dez Bryant return. I'm kind of excited, but I know he's not going to be playing number 1 numbers. The Ravens are basically in the basement right now with passing yards, so situation to be looking for over there. And also Antonio Brown. He's living in Tom Brady's house for the second time in consecutive years, so let's see how they kind of work out. The GM for the Buccaneers is very excited to have Antonio Brown there, and it just adds more firepower for Tom Brady in that offense, which is going to be a problem coming up in December, especially in January, if they can clinch a playoff spot. Well, we talked about this on the podcast this week, but to the viewers that are watching for the first time here, what your thoughts on the NFL season? I know it's not officially midway through for most teams, but 12 of the 32 teams have played 8 games so far. What's your whole thought process behind the NFL season so far and everything going on?
You listen to our show from this week. I think hats off to the NFL. I think they've done a very good job handling this COVID situation. I think it's going to start getting a little more hairy because you saw a lot of COVID stuff pop up this week. So I think the way the NFL handles it is pretty much the key to the season. And hats off to them. They're doing what they got to do without and ruining the game. You don't want to see teams lose their draft picks, but when you're not taking it seriously, it's stuff that you have to do. So I think the NFL, for not being able to put a bubble together or anything similar to that, having to travel, having all the players, I think the season's really hats off to the NFL, and you can see you can pull it off, and that's pretty much where it's at. You got to tip your hat to the NFL overall team wise. Finally, we're seeing Russ cook. It's about turn time. He's never gotten an MVP vote. He's going to get one this year, that's for darn sure. Probably get all of them. But yes, that's kind of where it's at in Steelers. As you can tell, hats off to the Steelers. They played a very, very good season. Games they weren't supposed to win, they've won. People are going to hammer their schedule. The Steelers are back and good when you're seeing everything on Twitter that the Steelers have an easy schedule, blah, 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 blah. The Steelers are back when you're seeing that on social media. So hats off to the Seattle Seahawks and the NFL is pretty much where this is at.
I mean, when we did our preview for every single team in the first 8 weeks, really, it was just all team talk. I kind of gave the Rams a little bit of slack, saying, all their money's kind of gridlocked within 4 players, and they're cooking over there. I gotta admit, I would not expect them to be 5-3 right now, and the chance to get a playoff spot. I feel the Vikings should have been a little more better than they were, but it is what it is up there. Green Bay's just Green Bay. You can't go wrong there. But the NFL as a whole, they're handling the COVID situation incredibly well. There's kind of a little bit of ifs in that, kind of looking towards all that, could they do something different? Could they do, this and that? Looking at all that kind of stuff. So, hats off to them. I mean, the best 8 weeks in NFL history, highly scoring games all over the place, records broken every single week, touchdowns scored. Basically a new record every single week with that, and we're going to be seeing more records as the season progresses, as we move forward there. So very, very big, midway through point for the NFL, and kind of moving forward for the rest of these teams, as the season's going to be getting even hotter with playoff chances, and that's that seventh wild card. Well, the 7th wild card's right. The 7th seed and potentially an 8th seed that might be added if anything kind of goes wrong there. So Brady versus Breeze. This is the big talk of the week. Sunday Night Football. This might be it for the last time, especially for Drew Brees, who's not really the same Drew Brees as we once saw before. The touchdown record right now, which has really not been talked about all that much. Tom Brady is leading with 561. Right behind him is Drew Brees with 560. Tonight's game, we might see a back and forth of that record. Hopefully we do. It'll be a very historic night, and it's also another historic night for those fantasy people. The most fantasy points in history, PPR stats. The top 3 right here. Jerry Rice had 5,141 points in his illustrious career. Tom Brady has 5,130 points. Drew Brees has 5,111. So we might see Tom Brady break Jerry Rice's all-time record, who played in the league for, 23 years for Mr. Jerry Rice. So a very exciting sight to see, especially for fantasy people, all PPR lovers, all that stuff. All over the place.
Absolutely. It's two of the best quarterbacks ever play the game. So you're seeing these guys go back and forth. It's something to watch, and hopefully it's a good contest. I like Tampa Bay's defense a lot more than Saints, so I think that kind of adds a little twist here in this game. I think Tampa Bay does get the win. But Saints did beat them the first time around, so we'll see.
Ooh, messed up there. So let's look at some of the actives and inactives right now. So Keenan Allen had strep throat, and he's looking, and they had to make sure he did not have anything COVID related. He is expected to play against the Las Vegas Raiders today. Matthew Stafford, which we mentioned earlier in the show, he is also expected to play against the Minnesota Vikings. Sam Darnold is doubtful for tomorrow night's game against the New England Patriots. Philip Lindsay is expected to get the start. Well, not the start, but he's expected to play against the Atlanta Falcons. And there's many more. Kenny Golladay out with the hip injury. Christian McCaffrey, as we said earlier, he's off of IR. He's active. First time since week 2. Chris Godwin, a 50-50 chance to play tonight with his broken finger. He was limited in practice all week, so that's a situation also watch down in Tampa Bay. Am I missing any injury news? Anything with the Steelers? Am I missing? No, I hit it all on the
No,
head there.
you got all. I do. They are saying that they are expecting Chris Godwin to play tonight. He's expected. Same thing with Zeke. There was a lot of talk that they activated some guy off the practice squad for the Cowboys. Zeke was in doubt. Apparently, they're saying now Zeke is most likely going to play. So that is also news to keep your eyes open for.
Also, Chris Carson, I think, might be out with Carlos Hyde. So Dallas, the last name for the Seattle Crew, gets his second start in consecutive
Dallas,
weeks.
rookie out of Miami, the U,
the big U. Well, let's talk about our delinquent betting. I don't know what you have. I mean, you called me the other night and you told me you put on a big show for today. I mean, I forgot about it, but let's tell the viewers at home what we are looking for.
Yeah, we got
today.
a free $100 bet on the table today. My buddies keep telling me to bet just a straight game. Why are you putting it on a parlay just to lose a $100 bet? Guess what, boys? I'm full throttle saloon in this one. Give me the Ravens on the spread. I got it at -1. Give me Seattle. Give me the Texans, and give me the Cardinals. So we're gonna riverboat round this one. I'm gonna be either really happy going into the Steelers game tonight at 4 o'clock, or really, really sad. So we're going to find out if Houston costs me again, or I can be kind of happy, kind of sad that the Ravens lost me my money. You know, we're going to find out, Coach, but that is my bet for the day there.
Well, my bet going into today, I'm taking Detroit, five-person parlay, because eventually, with my gambler's mindset, you eventually have to hit. And I learned in Atlantic City this week, just when you're ahead, just pull out the money and walk away. I'm eventually going to learn that. Eventually. But five-way parlay today. Detroit Lions, Denver Broncos, Seattle Seahawks, all on the money line. With the Baltimore Ravens. And I'm taking Chase Edmonds as an anytime touchdown scorer. 3,622 odds. Eventually I'm going to have to hit. If not, I'm going to be very upset. But it is what it is down there.
That's the only thing that drives me nuts with DraftKings. No in-game parlays, like same-game parlays. That drives me nuts. Like player prop parlays. Oh, my gosh. I just want to do that, please. I would oh, my gosh. I was looking at one from a few weeks ago. It was like Chicago, I think, on a Thursday night. And I called all of it. My buddy's like, no way freaking David Montgomery reaches 30 receiving yards or 23. I'm like, bro, absolutely he's going to. When he blew it, he had like 40-something receiving yards. I'm like, oh, my. I'm like, oh. Please, DraftKings, whatever you got to do, get it. I know FanDuel has it. Please, sometime today, please, let's get player prop parlays onto DraftKings.
I believe Barstool Sportsbook also has same-game parlays, if you're interested in that. I know it's active in New Jersey. Just a little tidbit out there.
I keep finding out that I can't bet on Rutgers. Would you have any idea why you can't bet on Rutgers?
Maybe because, they're such a gamble. I don't know.
I don't know. Like, I got to look this up. I was talking to someone yesterday about this. I'm like, I was going to take Rutgers on the spread last night against Ohio State. And look, they covered. So I would have been happy. But, oh, my gosh.
Well, let's shift from one thing to the other here. Let's look at some stardom and sit-ems and fantasy football. Who are you looking at to start/sit?
Well, for me, I got to look exactly right at that Steelers-Dallas game. I got to look at James Conner. Start. Give me James Conner against this Dallas defense. I think he has a good game. I think the Steelers get up early, and I am starting Ben, so I am hoping Ben takes advantage of this bad defense. But I'm leaning more towards turning into a running game and just get out of town, hopefully no injuries, and it's kind of what I'm looking. Start James Conner, my friend.
I'm gonna stay with the same backfield here. I'm gonna start Chase Edmonds because he's starting today over Kenyon Drake. Kenyon Drake's gonna be expected either to be out or very, very limited against the Miami Dolphins today. And also another one, Christian Kirk, because why not? Christian Kirk had a very big game against Seattle 2 weeks ago into the bye week. Now a little more healthier, more fresh. Look into that really, and also. I'm facing Colton in our big fantasy league, and I benched Aaron Rodgers like a stupid idiot I am to start Big Ben. Big Ben better be outperforming Aaron Rodgers. If not, I'm going to be taking a big L today.
Well, he ain't outperforming him. He can have a good matchup. He ain't outperforming that 5-touchdown game, though. So it's on you, my friend.
And what are you looking at bench-wise? Who are you benching?
Ezekiel Elliott, same game. I'm not starting him. He's been absolutely abysmal ever since Dak went down and Andy Dalton went down. It's been a crapshoot there in Dallas. I'm not starting Zeke, especially against this run defense.
I mean, I would have said Zeke because I have him in my one league, but I'm going to bench Hunter Henry. He's kind of been slow in the last couple weeks. But I'm replaced him with Gronk. Gronk's going to probably blow up yet again because that's one of my better fantasy pickups for the year. Also, another one, DJ Chark. I forgot who the quarterback is for...
Jake Luton.
Yeah, Luton is going to be getting the start. And I'll basically bench anyone on Dallas. Garrett Gilbert gets the start. He hasn't started since, I believe, 2018 when Cam Newton first went down with that shoulder injury. And he got blown out there. So that's the stardom and sit-ems. Let's look at lock picks. Who are you locking in today for your locked pick?
Well, for me, my lock pick, I feel like has to be the Houston Texans. I think Houston gets it done today. I hope and pray they get it done. I'm going for the Texans. I think the Texans do get a win today over Jake Luton and the Jags.
I want to say the locked one, even though it's more so an upset. I'm going to say the Denver Broncos. They've been hot as of late. Very late game-winning touchdown last week against the Chargers. I feel like they're going to keep that momentum going moving forward, especially into this week. So the Denver Broncos are especially my pick going into this week. And to round out, what is your upset looking like today?
My upset of the day has to be, if it's looking this way, could be the Miami Dolphins. As much as I do not want that to happen, Miami Dolphins could be your upset of the day.
The Miami Dolphins? Nah, you should ride that Cardinals train. I've been telling you for that for the past 4 months.
Well, I am. My bet is on the Cardinals. Come on, Will. You know what's my $100 bet? It's clearly I'm hoping for the Cardinals, but I do believe the Dolphins can win.
My upset, if you really want to consider this an upset, it's such a close matchup, the Baltimore Ravens and the Indianapolis Colts. I want to say I'm going to take the Colts in the upset. Colts have a very good defense, and if they can shut down Lamar Jackson running-wise and have him forced to pass the ball, I feel like the Colts can just pull something out. I have that weird feeling there. And
in a start, sit-em, Hollywood Brown could be a start. Hollywood Brown complaining about not getting the ball. This could be I'm going to force Hollywood Brown the football kind of day today against the Colts, so be aware of that.
I mean, hey, why not even start Des Bryant? Because who knows what he's going to do today. Don't be face palming, okay? There's crazier things that have happened, okay?
No, what you just said was pretty crazy. No, that's
I mean, Richie James all of a sudden comes out and gets 40 fantasy points. That's crazy, all right?
No receivers. You could see that happening. Oh, my goodness, bro.
I mean, and also another kind of upset pick. I would say the Titans, especially with, no Jadeveon Clowney. They cut Vic Beasley, which have combined for 0 and 0.0 sacks on the year against the Chicago Bears team, which has a very good defense and coming off of 2 back-to-back losses with the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Cincinnati Bengals. Why not look at the Titans this week? Why not? And also I might throw in the Detroit Lions because kind of the bottom of the NFC North matchup there. And why not? Well, very short show today. I want to thank everyone for tuning in. We had Alex come in here, Colton. He said, hooray, Play Action Podcast. Boo, Pittsburgh.
I just realized I took the Texans. I didn't take I took the Titans, excuse me, not the Cardinals. Oof. That's my bet. That was my other my bet. Oh, God. Oh, boy.
That's why I was questioning you. I was like, wait, the Dolphins?
No, well, I messed up my bet here. So, oof. So, go Titans. Yeah, take out the Cardinals in that. So, the Dolphins can win. No. What an idiot.
And
well, as much as you know, I would have been watching the wrong game. So, Lord.
And Alex also said, has Bell taken over RB1 in KC? No, not yet. They're going to be given Clyde Edwards-Helaire, the Rock, until, something might go wrong there. But I think Bell might be the complimentary back for number 2, third down, and receiving game options. So, it is what it is down there. That is the end here. Make sure you tune into our show, the Play Action Podcast, releasing weekly episodes every single week, NFL news, all that stuff. Follow us, the Play Action Podcast, over on Instagram, Play Action Podcast, over on Facebook, and Play Action Pod 1 over on Twitter. Should be banging my desk. That kind of ruins everything. But hey, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning